Are you looking for an Excel template for an 8th generation pedigree family tree? Here's the format that I use. This is the demarcation line of an A4 sheet. This will print out on one page and this will print out on another page, and you can tape those two pages together. And then the bottom two sheets is the maternal side. There's the mother and her ancestors going up to the 8th generation. So all in all, this particular worksheet prints out on 4 portrait pages, very easily taped together. I use another template that is similar but has photographs. So small photos beside the generations that run from the 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th generation. You might be thinking 4 pages is a lot and you prefer to have 2. That can be done. Here is my template for an 8th generation family tree that prints on 2 landscape pages. So the first page is the paternal side of the tree, with the father going here, father's ancestors going up to 8 generations. So the second page starts with the mother and goes up to 8 generations, and I simply tape those 2 pages together to give me a wide tree. In this tutorial, I'm going to walk through laying out this version. I'm going to fit on 4 pages. I'll show you exactly how it's done. You don't need to take notes about the cell numbers or the precise steps. There is a companion article on our website with all these steps. I link to it in the description below. It gives you the exact cell numbers to work with, how to format them, the font type and size, etc. It's all in the article. If you're too busy to format all these cells, place the lines where they should be, we have a done for you bundle with the 4 templates that I've shown you available for download for the price of a decent cup of coffee. There's a link to our store in the description below. But if you want to do your own, just follow these instructions and you will get this final result. So we start with a blank worksheet and we're going to fit our family tree into the columns A to J. We are going to change from the default widths of those columns. I'm going to set the width of column A. So highlight the entire column by clicking on the letter, then right click, choose column width and set this column width to 1. I'm then going to set multiple columns by clicking on one of the letters. I'm holding down the shift key and then I'm clicking on H, and that selects all the columns from B to H. I now right click anywhere, choose column width, and I'm setting that size to 19. That's a nice wide size to hold the name fields. I'm setting column I to size 3. And finally, column J is going to be another name field, and it is going to be 19. The next thing to set are the row heights. Now, you have 128 6th great grandparents, so we need at least 128 rows. I'm going to work from rows 1 down to 134. Those extra rows come in handy when printing the pages out and taping them together. Select the entire sheet using Control A. Right click anywhere, choose row height and enter 11.5. That is tall enough for the font size to be nice and legible. Then finally, I'm going to set the background color of every cell to a white, and then as I work through the name cells, I'll be adding coloring to the specific cells. I still have every cell selected here, having used Control A, so I'm going up to the home menu, expanding the fill color, and I'm choosing this white. By the way, this dotted line here and here, that's just Excel showing me the boundary lines for the portrait page. So that'll be page 1 and that'll be page 2. I'm seeing them because I occasionally check print preview. You go up to file, print. At the moment it's not showing us anything, which is correct, but just by doing that action, you'll see those dotted lines. Let's remind ourselves of where we want to get to. I'm going to do the top half of the tree first, which is the paternal side, and I'm going to start by formatting the father's name cell. Because I like to colour all the male ancestors in that same blue, I'll be able to just copy the formatted set of cells to all the other places where a paternal ancestor will be. I'm going to start by merging two cells to create this name field. And the cells are cells C35 and C36, one on top of the other. So round about here is C35. If you find it difficult to spot where you are, up here in the top left, it always shows the cell that you've selected. So I'm on C35. I'm going to select it together with the cell below it, which is C36. Right click, go to Format Cells, change to the Alignment tab, and check the Merge Cells box and click OK. I now want to put a border around these merged cells. With them selected, I'm right clicking again, back to Format Cells, this time to the Border tab, and choose this Outline preset. Click OK, and then I'm just going to click away from the cells and you can see this border. Now I want to set the font type and size. I'll just pin the home menu here and you can see that the default font is this Calibri font with a size 11. The 11 is a little bit too big for what we want in terms of fitting in longer names. I'm going to set this font size to 8, which is still legible both with the display and when printed out. To my eyes, Calibri or Arial or Times New Roman, they don't look great at a size 8. I find that a font called Segoe UI displays and prints well at that size. So I'm selecting the merged cells, expanding the drop down list box, and I'm typing in the first letters of SEGOE. And now down here at the bottom, I'll just scroll down a little bit. I get all these different fonts that start with Segoe, and the one that I want is this Segoe UI. And then I'm going to set the font size to 8. So I'm just going to type in, let's say, first name, last name. And as you can see, it's not really displaying very nicely in that it's in terms of its alignment. I'm going to set the vertical alignment of the merged cells to be middle. So up here in the top row of these alignment options, it's currently set to be bottom aligned. I'm setting it to be middle aligned, and you can see it move there. And then I am setting the horizontal alignment to left, which is my preference. So my choice is to left justify the names. Finally, I'm going to set the color of this male ancestor. My preference is light blue for the males and a light orange for female. To do this, I've got the cell selected. It's currently set to white. Expand the fill color drop down, and the light blue that I like is this one here, blue accent 1. And that's it. I'm just going to clear up this example name. Just take that out of there. And now, as I mentioned, I'm going to copy that male ancestor formatted field into all the other male ancestor fields of the paternal side of this tree. So we start then with the paternal grandfather in the third generation. Working from my article, I'm at step 6. I'm selecting and copying the two cells, C35 and C36. Those are the two merged cells, and I'm copying them for the third generation. And I give you the cell number. Highlight and copy cell C35 and C36. Place your cursor into cell D19. There's D19. Control V for paste. So that is now two merged cells at positions D19 and 20. And then repeat those steps of copy and paste for each of these cells that I mentioned. And obviously, we get it up to the 7th generation, you have quite a lot to go. I don't do this into the 8th generation because their format is a little different. So stop when you've done the last of the 7th generations. So now I've got these paternal ancestors in place. I want to create the first female ancestor on the page. So that is going to be the paternal grandmother. So because I don't want to have to repeat the steps of setting the vertical alignment, horizontal alignment, font type and size, I'm simply going to copy these merged cells and I'm going to paste them into the range for the paternal grandmother, which is D51, which is here. And now I'm going to set the background color. I'm going to set it to the light orange, which is right beside the light blue. It's this orange here. And that's it. We've got the correct font, size, type, etc. And now, having created this orange colored box, I want to copy this box into all the cells on the paternal side for female ancestors. So if I switch back to the article, I've just finished step 7. We've created the paternal grandmother, and now we're going to copy those cells into the 4th generation's cells, the cells for the 5th generation, 6th generation, 7th generation, and once again we skip the 8th generation for now. So just keep going until you get down to cell H66. Finally, I'm going to do the 8th generation. Now, in order to fit this tree into 2 vertical sheets, I'm only going to allocate a single row to this 8th generation. If I allocate it to the 2 rows that the others get, then this would end up being 4 vertical sheets deep. I'll do the first paternal ancestor. I'm going to put an outside border around cell J4. Pin the home menu for a while. I'll do it slightly differently this time. Expand the borders and just click outside borders. It's the same as doing it via the format cells that I did earlier. So that's given it a border. I now want to set it the color to light blue. I'm setting the font to Seago. Let's go find it. Seago UI, size 8. And then I want to set the alignment to middle and left. I'll simply copy this formatted cell down 1 into J5, and all I have to do here is change the color to a maternal color. And now I just have to copy these cells all the way down. So now I'm going to get going on putting in the connector lines on this paternal side of the tree. You may be wondering when we actually create the maternal side of the tree. It's when we've done all the connector lines here, because we can then just copy this entire half. So the lines I'm going to start with are from this father box to his parents. Toggling over to the article, I'm on step 10. I've got the precise lengths of the lines that you need to put in place. I'm going to talk through doing one set of lines, and then I'll just do the others on a speed through. You'll get all the heights and widths of the lines that you need laid out in the article, because the lengths and widths change depending on the generations. To add the first vertical line above this box, go to the Insert menu, expand Illustrations, expand Shapes, and choose this line here. Put your cursor vaguely where you want the line to be and draw down. Just draw down and make sure it's straight. Like, that's nowhere near the length that I need, but I just want a straight line, which is a little fiddly with Excel, but you'll get there with a bit of shaking of the mouse. For some reason, the default color of these lines are a light blue. I want it to be black, so the first thing I'll do is I'll change the color up here to a black. Then I want to get it to the correct length. In the article, I say that the length is 5.9 centimeters, so I'm going to right click, choose size and position from the drop down menu, and then over here we get the boxes that allow us to either toggle this up and down or just write in a height. So you can just toggle that up. You can see it expanding there. So I'll just get it to 5.9. Okay. Now I want to actually position it so that it's connecting the boxes as opposed to being, this is probably slightly above. In terms of positioning, I advise you that you don't use your mouse to drag and drop because it's just too finicky and you'll overshoot or undershoot. I always do. Instead, use the arrow keys on your keyboard and just tap them. That allows you to nudge the line down in tiny increments. Watch the circle, and unfortunately that circle, when you have the line selected, this little circle obscures your view, so it's not always obvious whether you're spot on. So a little bit of tapping on the down key kind of helps. So I'm just watching to see where the circle seems to be on the box line. I'll just take my cursor away, and yeah, I've got that right, and I've had a lot of practice, so don't worry if it takes you a few goes. The next thing I want is a horizontal line, and again I'm going to insert that, insert illustrations, shapes, lines. I'm going to place my cursor about here, and I'm going to draw a straight line. Is that straight? No, it's not. There, that is a straight line. I just used the box to help me with. I can tell you that once I've got one vertical and one horizontal line on the page, I never go back up and use the insert. It's just too fiddly. Instead, I copy the existing lines and then I either shorten them or widen them in terms of length using this format shapes control. So once again, this is a light blue color, so I'm setting it to black. And now I'm setting the width of this line. So this time we're working with the width. And in the article, I tell you that it should be 1.5 centimeters. So I'm just gonna, you can either type that in or you can just use this to toggle it down, 1.6, 1.5. And now I am going to get this line into place, and then I'll be able to move the vertical line to the correct position. So round about here, looking at this circle is where I think it's intersecting exactly. Yes. And now that I've got that intersecting exactly, I'm going to use the right arrow key to move the vertical line over to the right, and I'll see how that is. And now I see that I'm just about getting there, but this horizontal line is too far up. I'm going to move it down one notch. Arrow key, is that an exact? No, I'm going to move it down one more. One more. That is the perfect intersect. Now I've done this particular set, I'm going to copy. I'm never going to use that insert again. It's just too finicky. I'm going to copy this vertical line using the arrow keys. I'm just going to get this into place, get it vertically aligned. I think that's about right, but I'll know when I do the horizontal line. I'm copying this, dragging that down, and now I'm using the arrow keys to get this into place. I think that's on the money. So you can see that this is slightly askew, and yeah, visually I can see that this is too far to the right. So I'm just going to nudge this vertical line one to the left, and that is perfect. This is why I haven't done the maternal half of this spreadsheet yet, because I don't want to be inserting these lines again. So it'll be great when I just get to copy and paste this entire page down to create the maternal half of the tree. I'm going to do one more set, and then I'm going to show you a trick which will speed up the process of creating all these other lines. So switching back to the article to get the lengths for the 3rd to 4th generations, I've got them here. Okay, so that's the first set done. Now I'm going to show you my tip. Instead of having to repeat the copy and moving into place, we can simply copy the cells, the range of cells that surround the lines. It's much easier. So make sure you copy all the cells that surround the lines. So I'm putting my cursor into D11 there, and I am selecting all the cells down to D18. Hit Control C, position my cursor down here at where I want these to go into D43, hit Control V, and notice that both lines are copied in the exact position. Do the same for the lower set of lines. So I am selecting cell D21 there, expanding the range to D28, hitting Control C. and moving my cursor down here to D53, hitting Control V, and voila, that was much faster. So you just need to repeat that process for each generation. For each generation, use the heights and lengths that I put in the articles to get the first set of connector lines into place, and then use copy of the range of cells just to copy them down in for the rest of the ancestors in those generations. You will find that will greatly speed up your process. So that's the 7th generation. We just have one more generation to go. In the article, I mentioned that you have two choices. You can draw a very simple single line connector from child to two parents, or you can make this fork, which I prefer, but it's very finicky. Because the lines are so short and they're very close together, I find it difficult to select them individually to get them into place. Excel always seems to pick the line that I'm not trying to move. You pay your money, it takes a choice. This one is by far the easiest. This one on the left, the right one looks a little cooler, so I'll go and do the right one. The lengths, as always, are in the article. We're going to do one last touch up to this paternal side before copying it down to the maternal side. If I put in a very long first and last name into any of these merged cell boxes, notice that it truncates. However, the 8th generation is not a merged box, and we haven't done anything special. So if I put in notice how it doesn't truncate, it spills into the next cell, which it just looks messy, it's not what we want. There's various ways to make this cell truncate. I find by far the simplest, most straightforward way is simply to put a space into the K column. So I'm just putting in a space, hitting enter, and that stops the spillover. And now, having put a space into this K4 cell, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to paste it all the way down. There we go. So that just fixes that for that final generation. We're now going to create the maternal half of the tree by copying this paternal half. Don't forget to include the K column in your copy with that empty space. Select and copy the range bounded from C4, which is here, to K4, down to what you've got, which is C67 and K67. Control C to copy that. Place your cursor into cell C68. Control V to paste. And there is our maternal half. And then we have one piece of cleanup to do. This cell is the mother, wrong color, so we're just going to switch that to light orange. Pretty neat, eh? Bet you're pleased you didn't have to go creating all those cells and connector lines. You're welcome. We still don't have the home person or the lowest level in this tree. That's either yourself or somebody else. So I'm going to place them now. Copy any of the merged cells. I'm going to pick this maternal cell here and paste the copied merged cells into cell B66. So the B column up at 66. Now you may want to use the light orange for a woman or the light blue for a man, or you may want to go with a completely different color for this home person, for example, the light green. I will say that this is slightly off the exact central point, but that's simply because I don't want it to cross the boundary. The portrait boundary is at the bottom of cell 67, and I don't want any of the name cells to straddle the boundary, because it just doesn't, it makes taping together the printed pages very awkward. So that's why I put it into cell 66 and 7. That's one nudge up from being perfectly symmetrically in the center. Now we get to create the final connector lines. As always, the lengths are in the article. So I've got a 1.5 for the horizontal line, which goes about here. I've got 11.9 for the vertical line, which goes about here. Give me my size and position. I'll just type that in, 11.9. And that's about right. So because our home person isn't perfectly centered, these lines aren't actually going to be the same length. The vertical lines, the next one is going to be a bit longer. So we're going to copy it, copy this top vertical line, pull it into place, and then we're going to lengthen it to 12.7. There we go, 12.7. I'll now copy the horizontal line, which is the same length. Get that into place. And there we go. That is perfect. That's it. That is your 8th generation pedigree family tree. One final check of the boundaries, that it does print on 4 pages. File, print, and then check out the print preview. Okay, I'm seeing I've got more than I want. Where did I go wrong here? So that's 1 and 2, that looks good. 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah, what it's doing is it's printing the extra space, which we actually don't want in the printout. That extra space is only there to control the display. So what we just need to do is tell Excel what the print area is. This is a bit easier to do if I zoom out. View, zoom, going to zoom it to 50%. So as it's a little easier to work with. And now I'm going to highlight the print area that I want, which is row A to J from here. I'll just take that bottom row. Just make sure you've got everything highlighted, and includes row A to J and those pages. Now I go to page layout, print area, set print area. So that tells Excel that I don't want to include K in the printout. Now, when I go up to File, Print, and the print preview, I see down the bottom here, it's only 4 pages. And as I click through on page 4, and I'm not getting the empty pages. If you've got this far, well done. If you're thinking, well, this is all a bit much, or you just find the lines rather difficult to work with, we have a collection of templates on our Gumroad stores. It's pretty new. Link in the description below. The templates run from 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, and the basic 3 generation. And I put all the templates into a single bundle if you want every single template that you see here.